What's going on, everybody? I'm hoping that you're having an awesome Sunday. Listen, we're going to just get right into it. Over the past weekend, Pierre and I were talking a lot about figuring out your or balancing, what your plans are, and then how God is. And actually, let me just go ahead and let me see if you guys can actually hear me now. You probably couldn't hear me. So let me just start over again. Hey, everyone. This is Chris Bartley here. So over the past weekend, Pierre Quinn and I were talking about balancing your plans versus, what God has and how he's going to ordain those steps and how both go hand in hand, right? It's 100% choice, 100% God's sovereignty. And oftentimes a lot of us may get tripped up because we don't think that it's really our choice to do certain things, and it's all God, and vice versa. Some people believe that it's not all a transcendent personality of being that's leading out. It's me. I'm the one that's doing this. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's both, right? And you can set out in your heart to do something that has just a burden, a desire, a vision that you have, and God will allow that thing to happen and to come to fruition. But there are things that are necessary to make it happen, right? There are systems that need to be put in place. We're not going to talk about those particular systems today, but what we will talk about is now that and I called it the new car smell of the new year is kind of fading out. What are we doing? What are you doing with the vision? I don't want to use the word resolution, but let's just go there. What are you doing with the vision or the resolution or even the purpose that you believe you're supposed to set out to do? How are you and what are you doing? So let's just go ahead. I'm going to switch over here so that we can get a larger screen. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at, and you guys know I like frameworks. So we're going to look at the story of Samson. I think I'm just going to be digging in more into just his particular narrative, because that's what this is all about, especially for me and the anti-hero's journey. And so we're going to look at it piece by piece. And just the beginning, I want to probably consider this, and let's say if we call this one what it looks like to, and let's put this here. Let me see. I'm going to put a huge display here. We're going to call it parenting. Okay. So we're going to call it parenting your vision. So let's just call it that. Okay. And then we'll have a base to go off of as we talk about what parenting your vision looks like. Okay. Cool. All right. Have no idea why it looks so dark like that, but we'll roll with it. Okay. Or light, I should say. Okay, awesome. All right, guys. So when we're talking about parenting your vision, and I think that I have to kind of scooch this over because it looks a little bit different in StreamYard. So when we're talking about parenting your vision, what does that mean? What does that look like? So take a look. Take a look at this, guys. So in Judges chapter 13, and this is how we're going to start this thing off. Don't worry, it's not going to be preachy. So if you're rocking with me and it's just like, oh, the Bible, I don't know about that. Just hang with me for a little bit. Just hang with me. Hear me out. So this is now Samson. He's not born yet, but there's a messenger that's coming to his parents, and there are very particular things that need to happen. So here's the first thing that happens. So we're going to start and work our way through verse 1. And so it says, again, the Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight, and the Lord handed them over to the Philistines, who oppressed them for 40 years. All right. Let me just pause here and say that perhaps there are certain things that you're trying to get done, things that you're trying to execute on, things that you want to achieve, but it's not happening because there's some stuff that's just been required of you. Whether or not you believe in God, right? There is just some things that you just have not done, whether if it's for your boss, for your parents, for a sibling, somebody. And because of that, it's preventing you from doing and from getting the stuff that you want to get and from what you want to have. There's a block, really. And for us, those of us that are believers, that block is someone, God, who is literally putting something in the way. Or better yet, even in this verse right here, he'll hand you over to an oppressor. He'll hand you over to someone or to something or some circumstance that is going to prevent you from being able to move forward. Right now, I'm not talking about racial oppression. That's a whole nother can of worms. We ain't going there. But what I am talking about is for you personally, there perhaps are some things that even before you talking about nurturing the vision, there's some stuff that you got to handle before we even get into this. So you might want to cut this off and figure those things out first, then come back. But keep that in mind, okay? I don't think that you can just start nurturing some things when there is previous responsibilities that need to be taken care of. All right. And so, verse 2, it says, in those days, a man named Manoah from the tribe of Dan lived in the town of Zorah, and his wife was unable to become pregnant, and they had no children. And so this is where it gets interesting. The angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and said, even though you have been unable to have children, you will soon become pregnant and give birth to a son. All right. So let's go back here. Just want to take a look, see if we're still in play. Okay, we're still in play. And let's start writing some of this stuff out. So you have a woman who wasn't able to have birth. So is unfertile the word? Let's just say she was unfertile. Okay. And here's the thing, she wanted to. So it's not even like she didn't want to. She had a desire to want to have kids, but the vision was unfertile. I think that that's safe to say. Okay. But then there came somebody, showed up, and was able to tell her, okay, even though you were unfertile, there is now going to be, and I'm going to put here the messenger and the vision. There's now going to be an opportunity for you to be able to have this child. Think of the child, for all intents and purposes, guys, for all intents and purposes. And I think this thing is not like I don't think this thing is working properly. So let me kind of go back here because I think that we're having some issues. So let me go back. Okay, guys, I think I know what I need to do. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to go back and I'm going to reshare the screen in a different way because apparently this is like giving some issues. So let me just going to be a little bit smaller, but I think it's going to be a little bit more efficient. Okay, so give me 1 second and let's see if we can just share the screen in this way. 1 second here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my original screen here and see if you guys can see me. Okay, it's a little better, right? Okay, so it's a little smaller, but you know, for the sake of efficiency, we got to kind of do it this way instead until I kind of work out some of these kinks. So we talk about Manoah's wife, and we don't even know who Manoah's wife's name is, which is interesting, right? But she has a vision, like she has this desire, this passion to have a child, but it's not able to come to fruition. And that only happens until someone shows up and then gives her. And you remember, I talk about the hero's journey a lot. This is almost like the call to adventure, not for Samson. He's not born yet. This is for his parents. So this is before he was born. Their call to adventure is to make sure that they do particular things so that Samson can have a successful birth and an obedient life, which is what we're going to get to. So the vision is unfertile for her. Then she gets this call to adventure. So instead of vision, we're going to put this call to adventure. So a lot of you, here it is that you might have, or you might have this desire, but the call hasn't been given just yet. Something might have been placed on your personal, on your heart personally to do something, but the call hasn't officially been given to you. The opportunity hasn't officially been given. And so there's nothing wrong with having a desire. Manoah's wife has had a desire for so long. For those of you that are just chiming in, we're using Judges 13 to learn about what parenting your vision means in 2021. She had the desire. So nothing's wrong with that. And just because you have a desire and you might even be trying and it's not working out yet, it doesn't even mean sometimes that you are preempting or that you are going ahead of what God wants, ahead of his schedule. Because there is a lot of things that we have a desire to do, and sometimes it's just us trying over and over again until the call is official. It's almost as if you're doing the practice rounds, right? You're getting in those reps until the official call to adventure to begin the hero's journey does begin. Okay, so keep that in mind. So sorry for the small screen, guys. The other way wasn't really working out for me. So Oh, it's not going to work out for you either because of it being so small. So okay, so let me do this. I'm going to X out of this one right now so that we can get more of this. Okay, more of this here. So then the messenger comes and shares with her, listen, you're going to have a child, but this is verse 4, and this is interesting. So be careful. You must not drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, nor eat any forbidden food, and you will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and his hair must never be cut, for he will be dedicated to God as a Nazarite from birth, and he will begin to rescue Israel from the Philistines. Okay, so there's a few things that are happening now. So now we're talking about this angel that's talking about there's a level of caution that needs to take place. So let me go back. Let's pull up this thing here. Okay. So now let's talk about this idea of rules. There are some rules that are necessary in order for you to have successful nurturing. Here's the rules that was for the parents. This is not even for Samson just yet. This is for the parents. Number one, let's go back to it. The messenger says they can't drink anything or any other alcoholic drink or eat any other forbidden food. Now, they're probably going to go into detail again. And I think that when he does, he says you can't even eat grapes. Like there's nothing that's close to the wine category that you need to partake of because you need to make sure that you are clear. Okay, so here's the first one. So we've got, and I'm going to use this so that we can actually write this out. So we have diet was definitely one. Here's another one. He then tells her, any food, you'll become pregnant, give birth to a son, and his hair must never be cut. So there's the physical and then there's the spiritual, because even though you've got diet, and I'm not going to put here hygiene because it's not about hygiene. This was really I think it's Numbers, is it Numbers 12 or Numbers 14? There's a covenant, a Nazarite covenant, that when you make a particular vow to God to do something, you had to abstain from certain things, particularly drinking. Like it would cloud your mind. And you also chose not to cut your hair until the vow that you made to God was fulfilled. So we've got here, there's some physical laws that need to be established. And then I'm going to put here the hair, but it's really a covenant for the spiritual. Okay, so there are two particular categories. We're just analyzing this thing together live, guys. As we're walking through this thing, you see that the vision was first given to the mother. It wasn't even given to the father yet. It was given to one person first. Sometimes you want the vision to be given, or your vision for everybody else to see it and to understand it and to embrace it. But the angel, the messenger, came first to the mother. It wasn't even a mother yet. It came to the woman first. And then from the woman, let's take a look at what she does. After the angel talks to her and says, listen, this is what you need to do. You will become pregnant, but there's some things that you need to do. In verse 6, the woman then ran and told her husband, a man of God appeared to me, and he looked like one of the God's angels, terrifying to see. I didn't ask where he was from. He didn't tell his name, but he did tell me, you will become pregnant and give birth to a son. You must not drink wine or any alcoholic drink or eat any forbidden food, for your son will be dedicated to God as a Nazarite from the moment of his birth until the day of his death. Wow, talk about a promise. Talk about a promise. So here's the next thing that's happening. All right, we're just going to work through this thing together. The next thing that's happening, guys, is that she is able to she's able to articulate the vision. She is able to retell what just happened. Okay, that's the next thing that's going on here. I'm gonna erase this right quick because she wasn't a mother yet. There was and actually the vision for both of them, it was for both of them, right? It was both for the man and the woman, but the messenger only came to the woman. And then we have the rules. So here's the next thing, where she was now able to retell the vision. There's something that's very pivotal about being able to retell, to articulate, to accurately explain what it is that the purpose is supposed to be. I think that's so key. And if you're not retelling it first, don't retell it for somebody else. We talked about this yesterday when we were in the worship and word community. We are not trying to learn about our own vision and story to immediately tell someone else. You have to be able to cogitate, fancy word for just think it over, mull it over, understand it yourself so that you can then be able to, if somebody is asking, yo, why are you doing what you're doing? You will be able to give an account, a reason for the hope that is within you, right? You were able to now articulate in a very succinct way what's going on. And I love this fact because she doesn't go into full detail. She is able to paraphrase, but to give all of the important information about what is actually what the purpose, what her life is going to be looking like over the next 9 months. So you should ask yourself, what is that going to look like for you? What is your next 9 months going to look like? So I'm actually working through a go-to strategy right now. And man, it's been difficult. And it's a go-to strategy for my business. And we're going through all of the pieces, right? Everything from the vision again, but from the vision to positioning to KPIs, which is key performance indicators. What are the key transactions for each one? So like sales growth is one of mine. Okay, so what are the key transactions in each of one of those sales growth? Am I trying to hit 30 people, like contact or pitch to 30 people a month? That's one person a day. Is that too little? Is that too much? Is that unrealistic? Like, what is the annual revenue or the MRR, which I just found out is like the monthly, what is it called? Like the monthly recycled revenue. Oh my goodness. I can't even remember what the MRR means, but it's like a monthly revenue thing that you're trying to get to. What is the ARR? Like, so you have all of these KPIs. That's just one piece of the puzzle. But then you've got your personas. Who are the people that you're actually trying to target? So I have to mull over this again. I should be able to know specifically, okay, I'm connecting with the person who is, I'll give you a great example. This is one of the examples that they gave in the go-to-market strategy, the researcher, right? The person who, before they make a buying decision, they have to look up every single thing, all of the reviews and product reviews and just research comparisons of what the best product is before they're able to make that decision. I have to be able to know how to reach out and to sell and to convince that person to purchase what I'm offering, right? So you've got all of these pieces, and that's just a little bit of it. You've got the matrix value. Okay, so now that you've got your personas, what are the value pieces that you're going to be adding to each and every one of them? Because not all of them have or value the same things. This is what articulating your vision looks like. That's just for an entrepreneur. What does that look like for what you're doing? What does it look like for maybe writing a book? Don't wait till November writing month, right? NaNoWriMo, in order to start writing the book. Maybe you purchase a book that's called like Book in a Month. That's one that I had a long time ago, where you take the 30 days and you take the skeleton of your book, figure out the outline, and then work through it. So I'm saying all of that to say that you need to be able to fully articulate or to retell, at least to yourself first, what that vision is. Okay. So here's the next thing. The next thing is, as she's now retelling this story to her husband, Manoah prayed to the Lord, saying, Lord, please let the man of God come back to us again and give us more instructions about this son who is to be born. That seems good in the beginning, right? That seems so noble for him to say, okay, we need more information. Let me give you some advice, guys. Before we even go to the next thing, here's what I want to share with you. You don't need all the details. I know I just talked about all of those details there, but that's different from what I'm about to tell you right now. You have enough to move forward. Notice how it wasn't the woman who was asking for this. It was the person who didn't receive the vision first. And it's so tricky because they both envision having a child. That's the vision. But the messenger comes and says, your vision is not just to have a child, it's to have somebody who's going to liberate your nation. Whew. Okay. So he's now saying, listen, I'm praying that he comes back because we need even more instructions. This is a huge responsibility. This is a huge task. You've got more than enough. Stop praying for more information. Sometimes God is so merciful, though, because take a look at what happens. It says, God answered Manoah's prayer, grace. He answered Manoah's prayer, and the angel of God appeared once again to the wife
as she was sitting in the field. Manoah's asking for more instructions. He's praying for it. God answers his prayer, but the angel doesn't come to him, it comes to her again. You know what, guys? I'm almost betting on the fact that there are people who, especially let's say you're in a team, there are people who might just be more receptive to what that vision is. And so, even though you might be working with somebody, you might have a spouse, you might have another teammate, you might be in a group, whatever the case is, it just might be you that's the person who's ready to quickly answer or quickly receive the ideas that you guys probably both worked out together and said, "Oh, wow, I think that this is the path that we need to go on." And you just might be the person to help make and take that step forward. And then those who are with you will have to follow. This messenger doesn't go to the person who's asking for more instructions. I just need a little bit more in order for us to know what to do. What is happening is the angel is going now to the woman yet again. Okay. And I think that that's so strategic on the angel's part, because take a look at what happens. So he comes back in verse 10, if you guys are following this with me, and it says, so she quickly ran and told her husband, listen, the man who appeared to me the other day is here again. So it's collaborative now. She's like, okay, listen, I know that you prayed for this. You need to come see him too. So come on, like he's here right now. Let's go. And so it says Manoah ran back with his wife and asked, are you the man who spoke to my wife the other day? It's crazy, right? Because his prayer is answered. His wife comes to him and says, this is the man. And now he's coming to the man, or the angel. He's not really a man, but he's coming to this divine being that looks like a man, and then is asking the man, are you the man? Even though his wife told him. Okay. What I'm trying to say is, clearly Manoah has he has a belief issue. Like, and it's not like it's a doubt issue. Well, if it's a belief issue, it's probably a doubt issue. But as you can see, we're working through this story. He's asking more questions than he really needs to. His wife already confirmed that this is the guy. First of all, you've never seen the guy to begin with. And so you should have enough trust, but that's a whole nother story. So let's go back. So he's saying here, are you the man? And I love the angels. He's so short in his responses. He's like, yes, I am. And so Manoah asked him, when your words come true, what kind of rules should govern the boy's life and work? The angel of the Lord replied, be sure your wife follows the instructions that I gave her. She must not eat grapes or raisins. Remember, we talked about nothing that's even close to the category that can turn anything fermented to get you off balance, right? Grapes or raisins, drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, or eat any forbidden food. Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, please stay here. By the way, if you guys are just chiming in, we're in Judges chapter 13. So now we're in verse 15 right here. He says, please stay here until we can prepare a young goat for you to eat. So now Manoah is wanting to be hospitable to the person who is giving him this good news and giving him the instructions, right? And it's interesting that the angel doesn't articulate every single thing that he told Manoah's wife. Remember, he also talked about his hair not being cut and all of that. He just gave him some of the pertinent details, but he's like, confer with your wife for the rest. she's got it. She knows, she believes. You need to talk to her. I'm just here to help this process along, because if you don't believe that I showed up, then y'all are gonna have some issues. So I'm choosing to come back here and to let you know that everything that she said is true. Okay, so let's go back here, because we're working through this thing together. I want us to put down here that there needs to be a level of confirmation. There will always be in some capacity, some way, and I'm so grateful for this, some confirmation that's going to allow you to trust that what God said is going to happen is going to happen. Confirmation. You're just like, Lord, I don't know. He's like, yes, you do know. And everybody needed it. Remember Abraham? God showed up to Abraham like 3 times. He had to explain things like 3 times to him to refer and to continue to allow him to assure him that, listen, you are going to have children, more children than you can even count. Okay. Well, not children, but, descendants. So he's now going back. Let's go back now to verse 19 Manoah took a young goat and grain offering and offered it on a rock as a sacrifice to the Lord. So remember, now he's accepting the fact and believing that this man, this individual is a divine being. Well, we need to offer something to you. This is what they did in the Old Testament, right? This is what they also did with Abraham when the theophany, the three angels or the three visitors came to the family. They said, "Oh, we got to prepare something for you." So there's this level of hospitality, but of sacrifice, of spiritual deference to this particular person that came. And as Manoah and his wife watched, this is crazy. The Lord did an amazing thing. As the flames of the altar shot up toward the sky, because remember, he's creating this sacrifice, and they're burning something. The angel of the Lord ascended in the fire, and then Manoah and his wife saw this. When they saw this, they fell with their faces to the ground. This is crazy. So imagine that you're preparing this altar, right? These stones that are kind of built up in a small little mound. You're putting the fire, the sticks and everything in a particular way so that you can have this fire blow. And then the visitor that came, the messenger that came with this word, is now deciding to jump into the sacrifice and shoot up. So it's like crazy, right? The fact that he was able to just hop in and then just go back into the sky from where he came from. The angel did not appear again to Manoah and his wife. Verse 21. Manoah finally realized it was the angel of the Lord, and he said to his wife, "We will certainly die, for we have seen God." This is now Manoah, right? Manoah's like, "Oh my goodness. This was God that we encountered, or at least the likeness of him. And clearly I wasn't aware of this, but because this is who he was, oh my God, we are going to die." Take a look at what his wife is so G. His wife said, "If the Lord were going to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted our burnt offering and grain offering." Like, honey, like, what are you talking about? She continues, "He wouldn't have appeared to us and told us this wonderful thing and done these miracles." All right, here's the next thing, guys. I'm going to put here, don't get distracted. Right? Don't get distracted. Let's add that on here. There's so many ways distraction can lead to fear. Manoah, for some reason, was scared for no reason. For some reason, scared for no reason. It's funny. And what then happens? I'm going to finish this thing out. This is just the first chapter, and then we're going to be done. When her son was born, so now it happened. When her son was born, she named him Samson, and the Lord blessed him as he grew up. And the Spirit of the Lord began to stir while he lived in Mahanadan, which is located between the towns of Zorah and Eshtal. All right. So let's work this thing out now, guys. Now we're going to have this last piece here, which is the birth. All right. So Christmas is over, right? Christmas is over. You still got some of those gifts. You might have unwrapped all of the gifts, but you probably didn't use all of them. And you're probably asking yourself now, okay, how does this year begin to look like the way it's going to look like, so that when I'm ready to receive the first, for me, it's probably, an investor who says, "Hey, listen, love what you're doing. Let's talk numbers," right? What do you do before that moment, before the birth? What do you have to do? Okay, so let's go through it again. These are just some of the steps. This is just one way. We're doing this live, by the way. So hi, guys, for those of you that are just chiming in, we use Judges chapter 13 as a framework to look at. You have a vision, and let's synonymize vision with purpose, with gifts. Like, you have something that you are looking forward to, anticipating happening, with you putting the work in by the end of 2021 or mid 2021. What do you do before that thing happens? So here's the first thing. The first thing that you have to accept is that you do have this vision, but you aren't able to do it yourself. Both the man and the woman were trying to have children, and they couldn't have children. This is Manoah and Manoah's wife. We're talking about Samson here. Samson was supposed to be born. She didn't know who Samson was yet. But here's the other thing. So you have a vision, and it's an unfertile vision, but it's unfertile for two reasons. Number one, you probably don't have the resources. There's some things that you need to get in place. And you know what? Let me just put this in a different. So if y'all want to take notes, start taking notes now. I mean, you've probably been taking notes from before. There's some resources that you need, right? There are particular things that are necessary for you to have in order for this vision to work, right? So I'll give you an example again for me, like right now, and it's just not even serendipitous. I think that it's just I'm in this place where okay, I want the business to grow. I need a system that works. So now I do have that. There's I'm a part of a group. I'm a part of a founders group. This founders group has just released a beta version of a go-to market strategy that I can work through. Like, so these are pieces that I need in order for the business to grow and to be sustainable. Right. So now you have to figure out for yourself, what are the specific things that I need so that if I want to, I don't know, if I want to be the best chef, or if I want to be, a nonfiction writer, or if I want to be the best cinematographer, what are the pieces, the resources that you need? Okay. So the reason why she was unfertile is because something wasn't working inside there, right? Like that's just the reality. There is something biologically, physiologically that was just not working for her or for him, or for him, right? It could have been either or both. Now, the reason why I mentioned her is because the angel shows up to her and says, "Hey, listen, I understand that you can't have kids, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's her fault, if that makes sense." I believe that it's because she was the one that was able to embrace the vision. And we're going to talk about that. So the vision was unfertile because of a natural reason, right? The resources. Here's the other reason why it was unfertile. They were looking for just having a son, but the angel is telling them that it's not just for you having a son, it's for a bigger picture. Okay, so here's the next thing. How should we write this? It's a bigger picture. What would we call that? So you've got resources, and then you've got, let's say, scope. Your scope of your vision. So if you have no resources and if you have no scope, then when it's time to embrace the vision, when it's time to embrace birth, this right here, you're probably not going to know what to do and handle it because, oh my God, this is bigger than what I anticipated. So I believe that the messenger came to tell her, listen, you're not coming just to have a son. You're coming to have a liberator. Huge difference. So the first one is you need resources. You need the practical things that's necessary for you to be able to get the thing done. So I'm going to use my personal self as an example. So, okay, entrepreneur, I'm trying to transition from being the freelancer, going from project to project to actually having sustainable clients. Cool. You need the system in place. You need to be around other founders. Great. So that's the thing that I've re-entered because COVID-19 kind of, was a little janky because I was a part of that. And then it kind of just, well, I'm back. It doesn't even matter that I wasn't for a year. We back now, right? And so you need a system in place. Cool. You've got the resources. Now the scope. What do I envision this thing looking like? My vision is to be the world's leading strategic framework company for design and strategy for kingdom living. Like that is like my biggest picture. But then you got to start paring it down. But some of us are starting so small. Like start off big. What is your big vision, the big picture of what you want to do? Like if it were to happen tomorrow, would you be ready for that? Or would your mindset have been so small that you just like, oh wow, I didn't expect this to happen. Yeah, I don't think this is for me. That's not what I envisioned. So keep those things in mind, your resources and the scope. How big is the vision? Because what you are envisioning is probably not exactly what God wants for you. What do I mean? You want a child. God wants to create and make that child a liberator, not just for you to have a child to love and to hold, but for that child to do something for people around you that you couldn't even have imagined was possible. All right, so I'm gonna leave that alone. The next thing is your call to adventure. Okay, so what does this mean? So even though both the man and the woman had the vision, the call to adventure was given to the woman. Okay, let's back up. What this means is a few things. The first one is that just because you may be in a team, you may be in a group, and both of you may be in a family, and all of you have a desire to do something, it doesn't mean that all of you will have, number one, the same vision, and number two, the same vision at the same time. So that's another thing that you have to work through, especially if you are doing this thing collaboratively. This is more so for individuals. It's not just you and your purpose and your vision. You're in a team. And so the call to adventure works for that, right? Where, okay, just because I have it, I may not necessarily have what that person has. I will have to be able to, this next piece, articulate what it is so that we can be on the same page. But we're not going to get there yet. We'll get there, but we're not going to get there. Here's the second thing. Just because you have the vision, just because you have the purpose, just because you've set out, okay, by December 21st, 2021, this is what I want to do, this is what's going to happen, it doesn't mean that it's been activated yet. Okay, there are probably some things that you're going to need to do before it happens. That's where we get to step number 3. There's some rules. There's some things that you're going to need to do to prepare for when it actually comes into fruition. Okay, because you might have had a desire for something for so long, but the call to adventure, the call to begin is kind of delayed, so to speak. Your desire doesn't necessarily equal the call to adventure. Okay, let me back it up again. I'll say that again. Just because you are desiring to do something, that doesn't mean that that's the green light for the thing to happen just yet. What that probably means is there's some steps, there's some things that you're now going to have to do to prepare for that thing. And that's where we hit number 3, because the messenger, the angel, then goes to the woman and says, okay, you're going to have a son. Your son will be bigger than what you thought he was going to be. Right? So the vision is definitely different from what you envision, but there's some rules that you need to do. You not even him. You can't drink anything. You can't eat certain things. And then he must not cut his hair when he is born. Do you guys see that? Like, usually when we look at the story of Samson, we're thinking about all of the things that he was and was not supposed to do. But before Samson was born, it was the mother's responsibility to take care of those things before the birth, before the gift was birthed, before the vision came to fruition. So that's number 3. There are probably, not even probably, there are going to be very specific rules that you're going to need to do in order for the thing to happen. What am I talking about? So I'm going to go back to my go-to market strategy. There are particular things in a system for building out a sustainable business that needs to happen. Market acceptance is one of them. You have to build something and test it. If it works, great. Then you continue adding to it. If it doesn't work, you got to figure out why, and you got to pivot. That's just the way it works. So you have to figure out what is the system that you're working in and what needs to happen for the thing, for the vision to come to fruition. There's some stuff that God is going to do. We talked about that yesterday, but there's some stuff that you have to make sure that you're following. So the angel is saying, yep, there's some specific things that you can and can't do before this child is born. Okay, cool. What is the next thing that you need to do? This number 4 is being able to retell the vision, first to yourself and then to other people. Listen, the woman needed to do it for herself, and then she went and did it for her husband. Why is that important? If you don't know the story for yourself, when somebody asks you why you're doing what you're doing, and it's not as if you have to explain to them, but we live in a world of community. So it's not like, well, I'm gonna just do me and don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm just, because guess what? One day you're gonna need them. And if they don't understand what you're doing, then you won't be able to get their support. You're gonna have to be able to fully articulate your vision. All right. What is it? What is the purpose? What is the business? What is the book? I learned recently, like, what log lines were, and log lines is not just for books, but it's also for movies. So if you guys have seen like in Netflix where they can fit like the entire movie description into like 2 lines, and like all of the descriptions are fitting in the same exact 2 lines or maybe 3 lines if you're using an iPad or your iPhone or your Android or whatever, some mobile device, or even your desktop, you see that all of them have the same exact amount of lines. Somebody went through the painstaking work of learning the story enough to be able to succinctly explain what the story is about. That's what you need to do. The person that you're talking to is not your journal. They're not a journal entry. You shouldn't be pouring out all of the descriptions to them. When the woman was explaining to her husband what the instructions were and what was actually happening, who came to her, she was able to do it in a short amount of time. So you probably don't know what you're talking about if it's taking a huge amount of time to get there. Probably. Sometimes there's some complex things that you need to work out and discuss. But what I'm saying is when it comes down to your vision, it should be very succinct. Now, in the business world, we call that a pitch, right? You need a sales pitch. And that's what's necessary for you to get to the heart of the matter for the person who may or may not invest in you based on what you tell them, right? You got to show them what the problem is. Oh, I piqued my interest. You got to show them what the solution is. And you got to show them how you differentiate that solution with how you do business, right? So articulate. You have to be able to retell the story and get to the heart of the matter. I'm going to put a heart here because you got to get to the heart of the matter. Okay, here's number 5. You're probably thinking that you don't have enough information to get started. And I'm trying to tell you that you do. Manoah was explaining, or the wife was explaining to Manoah, and this is the beauty of this thing. We even don't know who her name is, but she was the important one in this chapter. She is the one that received the vision. And we have no idea what her name is. Manoah, though, was like, listen, I'm praying for more information. Stop praying for more information. You've got enough. All you need to learn how to do is articulate. Articulate. Retell yourself the story. And then follow the rules. Follow the steps. Find a system and work within the system. I think it's very rare, and I say this carefully because there's some of you that are out there where the systems that are there may not work for you. That's okay. But you better find something that is going to be repetitive and something that's going to be stable enough that when things do go wrong, you'll know to trust the process itself, because your emotions will be all over the place. All right. So you want to believe that you have enough information to move forward. That's all I'm going to say for that. Number 6, at some point in time, there's going to come a moment where you're going to doubt yourself. You guys have ever seen these examples of what success looks like, and how the success graph, it's not straightforward. It's got like this. It's let me see if I can find one for you guys. Well, you know what? Let me draw one for you guys. So like there's like this one that looks like, okay, so you've got time here. And then you've got like, let's just say this is like success or achievement. And instead of it looking like this, because that's what we think it is, like over time, it's supposed to look like that. It actually looks like this. No, I'm making it. I'm getting somewhere. And then you go back and it's just an ugly mess. And then you think you figured it out and then you don't. And then you go back. And then it's almost as if you feel like you're losing time and then you make it. That's what it looks like. That's what life is. Life is going to look like that. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. What I'm trying to tell you is there's going to come points in time where you will have confirmation here. You will have confirmation here. You will have confirmation here when you way at the bottom. You can have confirmation here. You'll even have confirmation here when you think the ball is about to drop and you keep going. What I'm saying is that there will be people, and maybe even God himself, who will give you the necessary affirmation to let you know that you are on the right path. That's number 6. Confirmation happens. So Manoah's like, oh my Lord, I need more signs. And even the wifey was like, yo, I just told you what just happened. Like, we don't need no more. But God still in his grace gave Manoah, showed up, answered his prayer, but God didn't show up to Manoah. God showed up to the woman that got the confirmation or got the word first. I think that's so strategic from the messenger. First of all, the messenger is like, I ain't just going to be answering to any and everybody. I'm going to answer to the person who I first spoke to, who also immediately received the instructions. What does that look like in real life? Okay, so in real life, especially if you're in a team, what you probably want to do is and Jack Welch talks about this, or he talked about this. The late great Jack Welch. You've got your 20%, your 70%, and your 10%, right? So I got a board, so I probably should be using this, right? So you've got your 10. This is called like the 20, 70, 10 rule, right? Your 20 are your A players, right? These are the people who are going to be your ride or die. These are the individuals who all you have to do is just tell it once and they'll roll with you. Your B players are the individuals that you have to spend more time with. This is the group, whether it's ministry, whether if it's corporate, this is the group that runs your business. These are the people right here. They run the majority of your business. This is who you probably have to spend the most time with. And then your C players are the people that just is dead weight. You're going to have them. And if they can't move up to here, you quickly cut them loose. That's what Jack says. He's like, listen, you don't want to waste time on your 10%. And a lot of us do that. We waste a lot of time on our C players. It's not that we're not supposed to, but your investment is going to be here and especially here. So what you want to do is you want to get to a point where you can focus on your A players and your A players pour into your B players. This is where, as a manager, this is where, as an entrepreneur, this is where, as somebody who's owning or owning a business or running something, you and your investment, you start spending a lot of time here. This is where your moneymaker is, even though this is where the sustainability happens. All right, this is why you got managers and people like that. Okay, cool. So we got that, right? Why am I telling you this? Because Manoah, let's change colors. Manoah was here. This was Manoah in the story. He didn't see the vision. Not only did he see the vision, he didn't really believe it yet. And there's another paradigm that I have. There's this matrix that I created where you've got your A, B, and C and your D players, right? And so your A players are the people who they see the vision and they go after it. They make it happen. Your B players are the people who see it, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Then you got your C people where they don't see it. But if they were able to see it, they would hop to the let's go, let's do it. Then you got your D. The D is like you see over here. They don't see it and they don't care. Now, Manoah wasn't really a don't see, don't care. He was like a don't see and an if I see it, I could believe it. Like he was here. This was Manoah. This is where Manoah's wife was. She was an A player, right? So what I'm saying is that the angel said, I'm not going to go to the C player. First of all, I'm not going to be speaking that much anymore. Like I'm divinity. Like I don't got time to, this ain't like the angel Gabriel and Daniel. This is a whole different story. He's like, I already said it. I'm going to come down and I'm going to say it again, but I'm going to say it to the A player. I'm going to say it to the person who got it the first time. I ain't a prophet. I ain't a preacher. My job is not to persuade. And you got to know your role too. The role of this angel, this messenger was not to persuade. It was just to give a message. It's the difference. All right. So let's go back. Let's hop back. So the confirmation will happen. And the confirmation, usually, if you're in a team, make sure that you want to confirm or you want to affirm the people who already see the vision and they're ready to go. Stop wasting your time trying to confirm it with the C players just yet. They're not going to be there. They're the laggards. They're the ones who are the late adopters. They have to see it to believe it. So they got to see it in you. They got to see it in the A players. They got to see some movement in the B players. And then maybe or maybe not, they'll get on board. And if they don't get on board, cut them loose. Right? That's how you got to move right now if you're looking for things to happen rapidly in 2021. Stop trying to convince your C playing audience. Stop it. Let it go. Let them go. Okay? So here's the next one. The next one is don't get distracted. So what am I talking about? So with Manoah, he's like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I think that we need to offer a sacrifice. And if we offer the sacrifice, because I had no idea that this messenger was divine and yada 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 yada. And not only did he offer the sacrifice, but then when the angel jumped into the fire and just disappeared into thin air, he then was like, oh my goodness, not only was this angel divine, but I think it was God, because we about to die. The way that he just jumped in, he was missing the big picture. The big picture was what the wife understood. The wife said, hold on, honey, hold on, slow down, hold up. If it was the Lord, we would have been died. He wouldn't have shown us these miracles. He wouldn't have given us this message. She kept in mind the big picture. She kept in mind the vision. She's like, hold on, wait a minute, slow down. You're getting caught up with the sacrifices and the disappearance and hold up. As a matter of fact, I don't know if it's in this particular version, but I might have missed it, but there's a spot in here where Manoah asks the angel of the Lord, what is your name? Yep, I did miss it. There's a verse 17. Manoah asked the angel of the Lord, what's your name? For when all this comes true, I want to honor you. Verse 18, look at this. The angel of the Lord says, why do you ask my name? It is too wonderful for you to understand. I skipped that the first time, but Manoah's getting caught up with all of the wrong information. He's getting distracted. Stop getting distracted. Manoah is distracted. What do I mean? The wife didn't ask the man's name. She didn't ask where he came from. She understood the vision. She said, okay, this is my purpose. This is what I want to go after. A messenger came and then activated it. Okay, cool. In 9 months, this was going to happen, but this is the system you got to follow. You got to follow the covenant system, the Nazarite system. Okay, cool. Thank you. Bye. I'll see you later. Yo, honey, I got some news. Listen, there's a dude that came. I don't know his name. I don't know where he came from, but he gave us a message about the vision that we both had. But the vision is bigger than what we expected. We're not just having a son, we're having a liberator. Manoah, distraction. We need more details. Okay, fine. Angel comes back to the woman that has the vision and then gives the information again. And then he's like, but what is your name? The angel's like, what you need to know my name for, bro? I just gave you what you asked for. I need to make a sacrifice for you. All right, go ahead and make the sacrifice. Oh my goodness, we made the sacrifice and he jumped in the fire and he disappeared. That must be God. Oh my goodness, we're gonna die. What? Manoah, slow your roll. Slow down, bro. And I keep saying, I love how the wife handled the whole situation. She kept the big picture in mind. The big picture wasn't the angel jumping into the fire and disappearing. The big picture was the vision that was given to her. There's going to be a lot of stuff that happens in 2021, guys. There's going to be a lot of distractions. There's going to be a lot of things. Y'all thought that, 2 weeks ago now, that what happened at the Capitol was an issue? There's going to be a lot of situations and things like that that's going to be escalating. You have to keep the big picture in mind. Stop getting tripped over the stuff that may be big, but it's not big to your vision. Get over that stuff. Stop trying. Remember I told you that in step 4, you need to articulate. Don't try to articulate every single thing. Articulate the vision. Don't articulate the people that showed you what the vision was. The woman could care less. If you read it, she could care less about where this guy came from. She just knew he was divine. This aligns with the vision that we had. We wanted a son. Oh, we getting something bigger than that? Cool. Thank you. Goodbye. Let's get to work. All right. Stop getting distracted because your distraction will affect your birth, right? So this is where at the end of the year, middle of the year, it's going to happen. It's going to come to fruition. And you have to ask yourself, did I do everything? And I'm glad that this is the same color. Did I do everything that was necessary? Did I follow the rules so that when this child does come, not only is he healthy, but I'm in the best position to take care of him? Now, I don't know why he said you shouldn't eat, and drink alcoholic drink. I'm pretty sure, y'all know physiologically, they say that when you're pregnant, you're not supposed to be drinking that stuff anyway, right? Okay, so that's one thing. But the other thing too is perhaps if she got on that path of and let's just say for all intents and purposes, the path of inebriation, she wouldn't have been able to care for the child the way that she should have. And I'm not saying that she become a drunkard. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is though, she had to have a strict diet when it came time to give birth to the child. And it could very well be that after she gave birth, she could go back to drinking wine, and she could go back to eating raisins, and she could go because her time was fulfilled. And now it was Samson's time to take on certain things like not cutting his hair and following the spiritual and the physical systems that were in place for him to then be successful. Okay, so that's it. This is number 7. Number 7 though wasn't ending here because what she ended up doing was she I'm gonna put here, she named the vision, she named the thing. The thing was a person. That person's name was Samson. So when this actually does come to fruition, guys, you need to be able to call it for what it is. Okay, so your vision, your gift, whatever it is going to come to fruition. And if you don't know what it is, then you're probably going to end up doubting yourself and getting distracted again. Name it once so that you can take ownership of the thing that you've been asking for from the very beginning. Articulate what it was. Just don't articulate it during the process. But now when it comes out, call it for what it is. I think there's too many times where a lot of us, we suffer when the success actually does happen. We don't call it by success. We don't call it an achievement. We just say, oh, praise God. And, or we say, I don't know if this is it. No, that is it. You were asking for it. It happened. Now put a name on it. Don't be like Bird Box, where the girl waited to was it Sandra Bullock? I think she waited to the very end. I don't even know if she named the kids. Did she name the kids at the end of the movie? Where she was like, boy, girl, like stop calling your, your visions of boy and girl. Name the thing. Name it for what it is. You asked for something to happen. Now it happened. Call it out so that you can take ownership of your own success, of your own achievement, of your own milestone. If it's not the thing yet, maybe it's a milestone. Call out your milestones. Having a hard time calling out your milestone is going to make you start looking like this. And then you're going to be so frustrated because you have no idea where you are in the process. So start calling out your milestones. Just as God is going to show you your confirmations, say, this is milestone number 1. This is milestone number 2. This was milestone number 3. This is milestone number 4 before things got rough and then he gave me confirmation. This is milestone number 5. Like, you have to be able, God is going to do his piece, right? But you got to do yours as well. So when the baby comes out, put a name on it. All right, guys, I'm done. That's it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save this. So I'm not going to, like, delete this stream. But here's what I'm going to do, guys. What I'm going to do is I am going to ask you guys that if you are looking for some more information, go to this website, put in free playbook, and what you will receive, because a lot of us have a hard time articulating things. What I've been working on is something that's going to help those of us who have made mistakes in the past to actually this is like the worst way to do this. Yeah, this is terrible. Hold on. Let me do this in a better way for you guys. Hold up. So I need you to go to bartley.group/free playbook. And what I want you to do is I want you to be able to download this book that I created. Actually, a presentation that turned into a playbook. And what it's going to do, it's going to help you to do a few things. First one is it's going to help you to learn how to articulate your mistakes without criminalizing yourself, demonizing others. We for those of us that have dropped the ball, and if you're successful, you've dropped the ball many times. You have a hard time trying to figure out how to share the stuff that you have experienced from a standpoint of lesson learning versus sabotaging and mistakes, and you need both, right? You got to take ownership of the mistakes or the poor decisions that you've made, but you also need to say it in such a way that the person that you're sharing it with doesn't feel overwhelmed. So this free playbook is going to help you to do that. It's usually like $60, but if you sign up, that's going to be the landing page. If you sign up, you just go ahead and get that joint for free. And what I'm looking to do is I'm wanting to build a group of people. I call them anti-heroes for personal, anti-heroes for business. They're two separate things. I want to help people. I want to help individuals who are in the personal development space. You're looking to become a better person. So you need to tell a better story. You deserve a better story. But then there are people who are running businesses and you want to have a better business. You want to have a better brand. Well, you need to have a better value proposition. You need to have a better vision statement, mission statement. You got to articulate particular focal values. You have to understand your organizational goals, right? The cascading strategy model. You got to know those things. I want to help walk you through that. So we've got two sides. Both deal with storytelling and user experience design. One deals with the hero's journey. One deals with the customer's journey. But for you to know the customer's journey, you got to know who your customer is and what value are you providing for the customer. So y'all see how it stacks up. So you got to know your value proposition. So we start there. I'm not going to do the inner workings of your KPIs and all of that. That ain't me. That is not my gift. I'm struggling that through this thing myself. I'm helping founders are helping me do that for me. That's not my thing. My thing is helping you to share convincing, persuasive stories and statements for people to believe in what you're doing or for you to believe in yourself. So it's either for productivity so that you can actually do what you're called to do, or product revenue for you to be able to sell the services or products that you have a system, a business, which is a system designed for. Okay. So get the free playbook. This free playbook isn't for businesses. I have to create one for businesses. This is really for individuals who are looking to find a better way to share your mistakes. Okay, so sign up for that. And I guess what I'm probably going to have to do is make a shorter version of this so that you guys know. For those of you that are just chiming in, we went ahead and we looked at Judges 13 and we talked about parenting your vision. I think that it was a great session because I was learning just as you were learning at the same time. Didn't have any of this scripted. This is just one of the gifts that I do have, is to be able to look at this stuff and to work it out in real time as we're learning together. So we talked about this idea that you may have a vision, but it's unfertile. It's not the big picture. So a messenger will come with a call to adventure, with something that's bigger than you. But it's not like it's a totally different vision. It's a vision that's magnified. So the woman and the man were looking for a boy. They were looking for a child. But the big vision was, it was a boy, a child who'd become a man, who'd be a liberator. And then we looked at, well, what is the system? What are the rules that you need to follow so that when the vision does come to fruition, you'll have, it would maximize its potential. That's really what it is. I didn't mention that before, but you want to be able to maximize the potential of this thing. So there are rules that you need to follow. We looked at physical rules, dietary rules, and spiritual rules. So there are things that govern your outside and your inside, the external world and the internal, the invisible and the visible. There's systems for all of these things. You need to figure out what are the one or two, maybe three, but that's probably going to be overwhelming, but maybe just the two. If you can, just one system that houses all of that stuff, encompasses everything that you need to do to make this vision a reality. Then we looked at, okay, now that you know the rules, right? Now that you understand that your vision was infertile because there's a bigger vision, there's a vision. How do I retell the story? How do I articulate that? Well, you just start going back piece by piece and figuring out and understanding it. How do you do that? I didn't talk about it, guys, but you got to write it down. And that's what I did. I've written mine down so that whenever I forget what my vision is, I go back to my literal vision statement. Man, y'all think I'm playing games. Y'all think that I just have books and I'm not reading stuff. Vision: to become the world's leading strategic framework and design company for kingdom living. Mission: to realign gift with purpose in every frustrated leader through design and strategy. Then I wrote down, based on this, the common thread here is frameworks. Framework number one is a framework for better online health. So that's me because of my focus on health. So that's like quality healthcare. But that's just framework number one. I only have 5 frameworks. Framework number 2, a framework for shame resilience, meaningful living. That's for the individuals, the personal development that we were talking about. Framework number 3, strategic outcomes. That's also part of personal development. You may not have ideas, but how do you turn those ideas into actions after you've gone through overcome your shame experience? So now that you're unstuck, how do you get your ideas to start moving? That's framework number 3. Framework number 4, a framework for quality branding. These are individuals who have businesses that struggle between their identity messaging and the business product and services. So that's framework. And the last framework is a framework for scalable influence. Now, see, for me, it's a roadmap. I'm starting with the person who's struggling with themselves. And if they get down to framework number 5, they're no longer struggling with themselves. They're struggling with a successful business that needs to scale out more. That's my vision, guys. That's my thing. That's it. You have to write it down. You know how many times I've written this down? I've written this down so many times. So I looked back at 2017. I said, oh my goodness, I had the answer here all along. Let me write this for 2021. And follow it this time. So many times we get distracted. So number 5, you have enough to move forward. I have enough. This is enough. Now there are other things that are necessary, but that's where the systems comes in. The rules come in for this thing to happen. Okay. Number 6, you will need confirmation. If not from God, then other people. You will need the pat on the back. You will need the person that's going to hit you up with a text of confirmation. Man, I can't tell me how many times my boy Pierre, man, just reached out like, yo, bruh, keep doing what you're doing. Or other people who've done the same thing, Brian or Anthony, like people who are telling me like, yo, hey, listen, man, you may not know, but I seen what you did, bruh, keep doing it. Sometimes people may not let you know when you're doing the thing that you're doing. But then when you get discouraged and they don't even know that you're discouraged, they'll show up and like, yo, listen, man, what you did last week, man, that joint was, yeah, yo, please don't stop. You know, Oliver did the same thing recently. Like, so what I'm saying is there are individuals who you are reaching out to and you're touching. They will confirm, they will affirm and confirm that what you're doing is supposed to be the thing that you're supposed to do. Okay. Next, don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. We looked at the story. Manoah was asking for so many different things. What is the name of the messenger? We need to prepare food for the messenger. Oh my goodness, the messenger isn't just a messenger. He's a God. Oh my God, because he's a God, we're going to die. And the wife had to tell him, no, it's not about the messenger. It's the message. It's the vision. Honey, don't you remember? We said we were going to have a child. Well, he told us how to have one. This is how you're gonna have one. So don't get distracted because it creates anxiety. It will multiply your fear. It will cause doubt, and that doubt would lead to rebellion. Your uncertainty will lead to doubt. That doubt will lead to fear, or vice versa. Uncertainty will lead to fear. That fear will lead to doubt, and that doubt will lead to rebellion. The rebellion is, I don't think this is for me. Nope. Stop getting distracted. That's what the distraction does. Distraction is just not for you to be unfocused. No, distraction that I'm talking about eventually leads to you to rebel against your call to adventure, your call to do the thing that you said you wanted to do. And the last one is you will give birth. It will happen. But when it does, you better call that thing what it is. Call it the birth, call it the success, call it the milestone, name the thing so that when you get to the next level, you don't have a problem looking back and saying, oh, I remember that. I know exactly what time, what day. Listen, I'm writing down the time and date and the stamps of these things. You got to call this stuff out, because if you don't call it out, you will have so much difficulty not only trying to remember, but believing that what you were supposed to do is the thing. You'll get distracted. This is how you parent your vision, guys. Right? And I'm saying this over and over again because new people are showing up every time that I do it. So quite frankly, I think, guys, I'm probably going to go through this again. I just might go through this again for another hour. Hey, yeah. Hey, Sydney, I appreciate you, man. I just actually saw your message. And so, because I'm kind of doing like the double screen here. So let's do a reset. Y'all want me to do a reset? I can do a reset and we can start all over again. I just realized this is alive. I can do whatever I want. We can chop this thing up later. And then, we can share the pertinent stuff later. So if we want, we can go ahead and refresh the thing. But for those of you that are more seasoned in this thing, let me know. Maybe I should end it and then do a replay of a live again later on today. Maybe that would be a better thing. Y'all let me know, because I just want to be able to, follow the system that's probably in place for live streaming. I don't think there's a real system for live streaming just yet. There might be, but y'all drop in the comments. So I'm actually looking at the comments right now. So y'all let me know what would be the best thing to do, especially if you just came on. Do you want me to go through it again right now? Because I got time. This is my life. This is what I do. Or do you want me to end it if you've probably already seen it so far? And just like, you know what, Chris, come back again at like 6 o'clock this evening. Everything is going to be died down and we'll go through this again. Y'all let me know. That's okay. I can wait it out. For those of you that are watching probably on YouTube, or, just let me know. And we can rock through it again, or we can just take a break, a breather, and end it. Replay. Okay. So by replay, you mean like end it and then come back? I'm assuming that's what you mean. Okay. I think that's what you meant, but I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you, Sid. So Sid said replay. So, but yeah, just let me know, Sid, if you mean, I can end it and then I can do the replay. And actually, hey, Sid, since I think you're probably the person who is engaging the most right now, I throw out the love here, man. I appreciate you for saying that. And then come back. Cool. Okay. So we'll end and come back. Come back at 6. Okay. Okay. So Theodore says come back at 6. All right, guys. So 6 o'clock it is. I'm going to set up the schedule again. And listen, when I set it up, hey, share it with everybody. This is what we'll do. And what I'm probably going to have is more of a stronger call to action at the end. Okay. A stronger call to action where I will be going through, what the playbook looks like and all of that. And so, okay, guys, I will see y'all at 6.